Hi, this is Jim Feist in Las Vegas. Check out my plays every day at Vegas Sports Masters. That will include NFL steamrollers, up and available now. If you want to get it for just $15 along with a bonus college basketball high roller, just call 888-777-4155 and use the code words Jim Wins. Now stay tuned as Dave Cokin and I break down the sports weekend on the NFL, basketball, college football on ProLine.
And welcome to ProLine, direct from Las Vegas. We are the longest running sports handicapping show in America. I'm Dave Cokin, joined by Jim Feist. We're going to take a look at some college basketball, the Alabama-Clemson title showdown in college football, plus NFL wildcard weekend. Before we do that, Jim, if people subscribe to the channel, well, it's free, and they get great stuff for free as well.
Absolutely. Just go to ProLineTV.com. Click on the subscribe button and you'll get notifications on new videos. Plus, you'll be sent a code to get 7 days of my service absolutely free. That's ProLineTV.com.
All right, so let's take a look at this weekend's ProLine, or this week's ProLine poll question, and it involves what's happening this weekend. The lines are out on all the NFL playoff matchups, and we're going to have some big plays in these games, so make sure to head over to JimFeist.com to get the information you need. It's pretty much evenly divided between the haves and the have-nots at the quarterback position this weekend. You get three backup quarterbacks who are basically have no playoff experience. You got one quarterback who doesn't have a playoff win, and you get four quarterbacks who each have at least one Super Bowl ring. So we decided to ask the audience, and we got a very good response to this.
Yeah, we did.
Our best response yet. Which playoff underdog has the best shot of winning straight up this weekend? The four underdogs are the Lions, the Giants, the Dolphins, and the Raiders. And Jim, I'm not at all surprised at who the voters chose.
I'm not either, because based on everything, I would probably go this. I would go the same way. It was a one-sided poll. 55% of our audience said the Giants have the best shot at beating the Packers straight up this Sunday. I have to agree with that. Now, I'm not saying that I'm betting it that way. What I'm saying is, of the four teams, or the four games, the best shot would be the Giants. Now, if Oakland had their quarterback, if Carr was there,
but they wouldn't be an underdog.
They wouldn't be an underdog. So it would still be the Giants, because we're talking about an underdog. We're talking about an upset.
That game would be basically a pick 'em. Actually, Oakland might be one.
I think Oakland would be the favorite in that spot. Now, they are coming back with Osweiler because Savage got a concussion, which is, I mean, they had to switch. Now they're back to the, I don't know what the story is.
Well, the interesting thing there is that the total, and remember, Houston is the one spot you don't have to worry about the weather. The total is extremely low in that game. It was about 36 right now. So the anticipation is there's not going to be any points scored.
Well, you got Connor Cook.
Yep.
Was it Michigan State he played at?
Yep. Good college quarterback.
Good college quarterback, but has no experience in the pros.
And didn't look real good in his effort last week against the Broncos.
Well, he wasn't supposed to play. He didn't prep to play.
But this is you talk about stepping into a tough spot.
Well, it's a record. Never happened before in the history of the NFL. You have a guy that's never started a game in the NFL, and he's starting a playoff game. That has never happened in the NFL. This is a record.
Yep.
And it's a sad situation because, I mean, injuries happen, but Oakland has such a good year.
It was a tough break for Oakland, because I think a lot of people thought, and I'm not saying that I agreed with this, because I think the Patriots are the best team in the AFC, and I actually think Pittsburgh's the second best team, but there were people who thought, hey, Oakland's got a shot to get that second seed, which I think they would have had an excellent shot had you been out there last week against Denver, and get a second seed. And if you're a 2 seed, you got a little time off to prep. And
right.
An upset was a possibility, certainly, if they happen to beat New England down the road. I don't think many people feel that can be done now. Even if the Raiders get through this, the consensus is that they are at most going to survive 1 week.
One and done, if they make it. But now the line is Houston was 3, it's up to 4, and it's not a solid 4, but and as you said, the total 36.5, 37, some spots low total. But I don't know where the points are going to come from. Houston has a good defense.
Yeah, they do.
And
they don't have a good offense.
No, they don't.
So, you could get points off turnovers. I think that's a distinct possibility in this game with Osweiler and the kid.
Connor Cook.
Connor Cook. I'm going to say Carr, and that's obviously not. It's going to be tough. Now, the other dogs, the Dolphins are big dogs against the Steelers, so we didn't expect them to get many votes.
Right.
The Lions are playing at Seattle. The Lions have to show they can win a big game, which they just don't do it. I mean, that stat's still out there on Stafford. He's got 5 wins in his entire career against winning football teams. I'm not saying that's Stafford's fault necessarily, but the fact is Detroit just doesn't beat winning teams.
Okay.
Now, they might cover. That's another story entirely.
That's a distinct possibility.
Yes.
Seattle has a lot of weaknesses. Their offensive line, running game. This is not the Seattle of a couple of years ago where they made the Super Bowl a couple times and should have won it
twice. They were terrible last week. In fact, the last 2 weeks they've been.
They haven't. They are a physical team. They're very tough to beat at home, especially. But this is not your Seattle team of a couple of years ago. This is not a strong football team right now. And I actually predicted that they would be in the Super Bowl against New England. That was my prediction at the beginning. Not now. I'm not saying that now. But, 8-point favorite. That's a big number.
It's a big number.
And you're going to have bad weather in Seattle. But you do have an indoor team in Detroit. Now, when you talk about Stafford not beating teams with winning records on the road, etc., Detroit hasn't...
Anywhere, really.
Detroit hasn't been... excuse me, let's stop stuck. Detroit hasn't been a great team for a long, long time. Stafford's whole career there, it's not been a solid football team. He is a pretty solid quarterback. He is playing hurt. He's got, I think, a break in here and ligament damage as well. So he is playing hurt. And they don't have a running game. They don't run the ball well. Their defense is marginal. Offensive line is probably a little bit better than average. But not a great team, and they haven't had a great team since he has been there. So you put a lot of that blame on the quarterback. It's really the organization.
No, yeah, it's not. It's an unfair stat, to put it mildly. Anyway, the Giants got 55% of the votes, which is not that's a lot in terms of the fact that there were 4 teams to vote on, and they got 55%. That's a runaway.
They did the fans that voted did a good job. That's the right choice because you have a Super Bowl winner, Eli. He's won 2. That's correct. He's won 2 Super Bowls. You do have a rookie coach. This is not Tom Coughlin anymore, so the preparation issue is a little bit different. They've been winning more with defense. Their defense is very solid, where Green Bay's is a little bit more marginal, but the offense, Green Bay has the offense. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, the last 6 weeks has been
amazing.
Playing. Yeah. Watching him play is like he's like a surgeon.
Well, see, he's actually starting to get some support for MVP. I don't think he'll win it, but he's going to get some votes. We want to thank everyone for participating in this week's poll question and remind you that we will post a new ProLine poll question every Monday morning. That'll be on our respective social media networks, and then the results will be announced right here on the show.
And if you'd like to send us a suggestion for a ProLine poll question of the week, or if you have any questions about our selections of service packages, send me a direct message on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, and I'll get right back to you.
All right, so Alabama and Clemson, obviously that is the biggest game of the weekend because it's for all the marbles in college football. They'll play it on Monday night. There seems to be a lot of Clemson money showing up in terms of the ticket count. I think it's more on Clemson than it is on Alabama. We know the money line count is going to heavily be on the Clemson side because people like to take a shot with the underdog, even if they're getting robbed on the value, which that's another story entirely. Not going to say a whole lot about this game because I think we're both going to be giving it out. We don't want to just give the selection away free, but I will tell you this. I think that if you like Alabama, I think you just take the 6. You better bet it now at 6.5. I don't think this is going to go to 6. I think it's going to level off at 6.5 or sit at 7. And the reason I say that is even if they've got more tickets on the Clemson side, I think if they drop it to 6, they're going to get it inundated with some sharp money on Alabama. Not necessarily sharp from the standpoint of the handicap of the game, but just in terms of the value of the number. That's what that is all about. It's people look, those guys, advantage players, if you will, they're going to take advantage of what they think.
You might have people out there, Dave, that lay in 6 and taking 7.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
That's why very possible.
It's too key a number.
Uh-huh.
To me, at least the way I read it, it's too key a number for them to go to 6.
Now let's talk about what happened last week.
All right.
Clemson annihilated.
Ohio State was
embarrassed
terrible.
Ohio State, and when you look at Ohio State as the selection to be in the 4.
Well, you know what I said.
Yeah, I know what you said.
And I don't care if Penn State got destroyed by Pittsburgh and lost to whoever at the Michigan.
Well, they sure played a lot better.
At the end of the season, Ohio State lost to Penn State. Ohio State didn't win the Big Ten, and they should not have been in the playoff. Period. They just shouldn't have been in.
And they proved your point very well. I mean,
even if they didn't prove, even if they'd won the game, I'd still be saying the same thing.
I know what you're saying, but it did work out on the field that they didn't belong there.
And Penn State, boy, what a game that was against USC. Unbelievable football game. I had USC minus the points, so I ended up losing it. But you know what? I almost didn't mind paying the fee to watch that game. Absolutely incredible game.
That's a game you could go back and watch again. That was a lot of fun.
And I think Penn State should have won it. I thought James Franklin got a little conservative with the lead in the fourth quarter.
Sat on it.
I mean, there's no law. This is why maybe it's why Belichick wins so much.
He doesn't
take mercy. I mean, it's like, hey, if it ain't broke, I'm not going to try and fix it. We're going to just keep on scoring on you.
We've had coaches in the NFL, and we have one now that I could even mention, Kansas City, Reed. Notorious for sitting on leads, playing not to lose. Marty Schottenheimer, the same way.
Yes.
Great coach, awesome coach, played not to lose. When he gets ahead, played not to lose, not to win. It's just, that's what happened with Penn State, and they probably took their victory out of the...
I think they did. I think, again, I had USC, and I just wanted another minute on the clock at the end because I think USC would have scored a touchdown, and I was laying 6.5. So,
we were both on the same side. I had a great bowl season, but that was one of my losers. It was a lot of fun to watch for sure. But getting back to this
Penn
game,
State should have won the game.
Clemson, last week against Ohio State.
Fantastic.
That was unbelievable. Now you go back to last year. I'm not going to give you a side either on this game because, like Dave says, we both like a side in this game. Last year they played Alabama, different quarterback for Alabama. Deshaun Watson is the best quarterback on the field in this game.
Yes.
There's no question about that. 37 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. Probably not as good as last year. I think he got a little sloppy. But
I'll tell you what, though, he's been pretty good when it mattered.
Yes, he has.
Oof.
Now you're going up against Alabama, and they've got this little bit of thing going on there with Lane Kiffin.
I think that's a plus that he's out.
Maybe it is, or maybe it was Saban throwing him under the bus because they look bad.
I think that...
But I've never been a Lane Kiffin fan anyway.
Look, the guy missed another bus last week, which is ridiculous if you're a coach. He's already got another job.
I got it. But
go take the other job.
I admire Saban for... he said, this is a problem. They're not focused. And he got rid of them. He actually fired a coach that already quit.
Well, you're not buying into the mutual decision thing, huh?
No, I don't do that. Not with this one.
The mutual decision was Nick Saban said, get out of here, and the other guy said, okay.
That was the decision.
If you want to ask us any Vegas sports wagering questions, go to ProLineTV.com and drop us a line. It doesn't cost anything. And speaking of not costing anything, when you're there, be sure to hit the subscribe button because that will get you 7 days of action free.
Plus, go to JimFeist.com for free stats, articles, videos, my free fast facts, and plays from the nation's top handicappers.
All right, so when we come back, we will delve into the NFL wildcard week, including the Giants and Packers at Lambeau Field. It's not the frozen tundra anymore because they got the coils, but it's still going to be cold in Green Bay. Stay tuned. All right, playoff weekend is upon us. 12 teams are still alive. 4 of them will be going home after this weekend. The Packers are the most interesting from an odds standpoint because of the wild fluctuation we've seen with them during the course of the season. They opened, and again, depending on where you go, you might have seen a little different number, but we used the Westgate for this 10-1 before the season started. Then they lose all those games, that 4-game losing streak. They're all the way to 80-1 at that point. Now they win 6 in a row, and they're back to 10-1 again.
That's right. I imagine there was a couple swings with Pittsburgh, too. in
Yeah,
there.
I would think so.
I don't remember what it was, but yeah, there were Green Bay. There were 4-6 at one point, 6 in a row. Now they're 10-6, hosting a playoff game against the Giants this week. It's been a big swing, and Rodgers has started slow the last couple of years. And last year he would say, relax. And this year he said, well, we could sweep the rest of the games, you know. So he's shown that he's a slow starter.
Well, he's sure a fast finisher. Some of the other prices that are out there right now, you've got the Chiefs and Falcons. And again, these are approximate. They're going to vary from store to store. 10-1 on those two teams. The Seahawks are 12-1. Interesting that even though they're playing at home against the longest shot in the field, which is Detroit, Seattle's still 12-1, so they're not getting a lot of respect right now from the odds makers as far as winning the whole thing is concerned. I think that's really important in terms of what to look at as far as Seattle goes after this weekend. These are indicators to me from the odds makers. Giants are 20-1. The Texans, Dolphins, Raiders, they're out there, big prices on them, 80-1. Lions about 100-1. The Cowboys are 4-1. And the Steelers are 8-1. So if you think, well, the Patriots are like 1.5-1, which is kind of in my opinion, kind of a dumb bet, even though I think they're the best team. If you're not getting at least 2-1, you really shouldn't make that bet. I would say if you're looking at value with true contenders, probably the Packers. Not the Cowboys at 4-1 really aren't that bad, and I think the Steelers are probably a dangerous team at 8-1. I would not, would I make New England the favorite over Pittsburgh? Yeah, absolutely. But it's not a massive upset if Pittsburgh goes to Foxborough and wins.
I wouldn't be surprised if teams like the Packers, the Steelers, or Dallas was in the Super Bowl and win it all. Wouldn't be surprising. There's a lot of similarities there. Everybody has flaws.
Now the interesting one though to me is the Giants, because if the Giants get the win this weekend, they know how to beat Dallas.
Our poll question was, people said 55% of the people that voted said the Giants have the best possibility of winning this weekend as an underdog. They're not predicting that, but they're saying that is the best possibility. If they should win that, they're a wild card team, they're going to have to win all their games on the road. But they've done it before. Eli's won 2 Super Bowls. Yeah. That's not
they're
too bad.
a dangerous team because
very dangerous.
They're not going to be. And you'll hear this if the Giants and Cowboys eventually meet. Well, it's almost impossible to beat a team 3 times in the same season. It's tough, but it can be done. The Giants are not going to be fearing Dallas.
One of the things that you hear, we've known over the years, is you win these big games, you win championships with defense and running games. And they have the defense, but they don't have the running game. They don't run the ball well at all. Eli's not had a good year throwing the ball. No, it's terrible. And they got a rookie head coach. So we have that issue too.
25th in yards, 26th in points. They're less than 20 points per game.
Yep.
17th passing. You mentioned the running game, 29th out of 32. But that defense, and boy, defense does win championships. 10th in yards, 2nd in points. Okay versus the pass, but that is a vulnerability for them, and Rodgers could exploit that. 3rd versus the run. I don't think the Packers, I would not look for Montgomery to have a good day. The Giants, 9-2 straight up, 8-3 against the spread in their last 11, 12-4 under the total in their 16 games this season. The Packers obviously have won 6 in a row. I think this is a great game.
The Giants are 9-0 ATS in road playoff games. Wow.
And one thing we should mention,
incredible.
I guess it's worth mentioning, is that as bad as the Giants' running game has been, it was pretty good last week. Maybe they're finding the running game at the right time.
That was a strange game. I mean, there's a game, Washington needed to win that game to get in the playoffs. And the only reason that Detroit's in the playoffs is because Washington could not win that game. And the Giants did not need the game, but they came out there, they played their starters, they played it like a game.
It's called integrity.
And
good for them.
They're supposed to do that because
right.
the team they're playing, it had something to do with who goes to. So they did the right thing. Tom Coughlin was there for a lot of years, and he accumulated these old records, the 9-0 that I just mentioned and stuff. We have a new coach there.
He's settled in pretty well.
He has.
And he's been there a long time because he was an assistant under Coughlin.
That's true. That helps.
Oh, yeah. It was a seamless transition to McAdoo, and he, I think, injected.
This is a heck of a game. I mean,
it really is.
You got Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in this game.
I mean, I got to tell you, I haven't played the game yet, but I'll just tell you that I'm leaning to the Giants plus the points in the game. I mean, I think this could very well be a field goal game. The biggest worry I've got is Eli turning the ball over. He can be pretty bad at that.
Yeah, he can. It's going to be very cold there, probably about 10 degrees. And, of course, it's too early to try to determine what the wind is going to be because that's going to be a big factor. If it gets windy, it's going to be a big factor in this game. If it comes down to a running game, I would think that Green Bay is going to have an advantage. They're used to playing there. They're used to playing that field. They've developed a little bit of a running game lately, and the hottest quarterback in the league
he's on fire.
They're going to have to do things to stop him, which is going to open the running game a little bit more.
And good luck defending Jordy Nelson right now. I mean, he's all the way back from the injury. He's playing great football for them. I don't know how did he not make the Pro Bowl? It's absurd.
Well, he didn't start the season off that well. These guys, I mean, the whole Green Bay contingent started off real slow, which is why it went from 10-1 to 80-1. And they were 4-6 at one point. Now they're 10-6. So the hottest team in football right now is the Green Bay Packers.
And the Giants are right there with them.
Yep.
That makes it interesting.
For two different reasons.
Viewers can get free plays from us right to their cell phone, and it is ridiculously easy. Even I could figure this out.
You can?
Well, maybe.
Well, when the show's over, we'll try it. All right. We'll see if we can do it. Just text GAME, G-A-M-E, to 25827, and you'll get a free play right now to your cell phone. That's GAME, G-A-M-E, to 25827.
All right, we're going to come back, and we are going to talk some college basketball, so stay tuned. College basketball conference play is now underway. I'm happy about that because we've got the annual rivalries, and in some conferences there'll be 2 meetings, so you can start to look for some same-season revenge later on, which can be a definite plus. One of the games that's of interest this weekend is the Indiana-Illinois matchup. This will be at Indiana, and they're probably happy about that. Illinois has had an interesting little run, got absolutely massacred at Maryland, and that was a very disappointing game for them because Maryland is beatable right now, and they just got killed. They did come home and bounced back and got a win against Ohio State. And one thing I kind of liked out of Illinois in that game was that they had a pretty big lead in the second half. I think I know they had a double-digit lead at one point in the game. Ohio State made a run and actually took the lead, but Illinois hit a couple of threes down the stretch, was not really the best part of their game, and they managed to make enough free throws to get out of there with a win. I thought that was a good win for them, so they at least will have some confidence as they head to Indiana. The problem is, the Hoosiers got to be looking at this as a big game, don't they? They've got 3 losses in a row.
3 losses in a row, 2 in conference. But but first of all, to your point, they did bounce back, and the coach pointed that out, that we need to be more resilient. We need to do exactly what they ended up doing in that game, which is great. Now let's look at this. This is a rivalry. I like when you have 2 matchups in the same year against a team because you get the home and away and you get the revenge issues. Now you got a double revenge here. Indiana won last year at home, 103-69. Annihilation. Then they on the road, complete embarrassment for Illinois. Indiana wins the game 74-47. Whoa. That is a double revenge.
It really is.
And you have a team that's struggling in Indiana at this moment.
They obviously lost to some good competition. Nebraska's better than people think. Nebraska's already got wins at Indiana and at Maryland. Very impressive. Tim Miles, we knew he was a good coach out here at Colorado State in Mountain West Country, and Nebraska made a nice score when they got him a couple of years ago. He's done a good job with the Cornhuskers. Losing to Louisville by 15 on a neutral court. It wasn't at home. It was in Indianapolis. That's not the worst loss of all time. Louisville's real good. The problem is when this team goes cold on offense, they have real problems hanging in. They're not a good defensive basketball team. And if Illinois can force them to shoot from outside and Indiana doesn't hit their shots, they might have their hands full. The problem I have, though, and I don't think I can play Illinois in the game, is that, one, Indiana is going to be hungry for a win, and two, Illinois is going to show me they can do something on the road.
There's a lot of different angles to work here on this game, and it really comes down to what the point spread is. We do this show early, so we really don't know what that spread will be. But it's all about numbers. You got the revenge factor. You got the team with a little bit more momentum against a team that's absolutely struggling at the moment. I haven't been impressed the last 3 games with Indiana. And you got to defend your home turf.
Yeah.
And they're not doing that. So I'll probably be looking at the points here, taking the dog, if the number is right, because I make my own numbers, and it's got to be in that area.
Yeah, I probably will just stay out of it. I don't like going into the double revenge from an embarrassing double revenge. You would think that every Illinois player is going to be remembering last year not wanting to see any of that game film. I mean, you get outscored in 2 games by 177 to 116. You might want to get even with that team.
Yeah.
I just wish I will say this: if Illinois can get themselves a big road win, that could be the buy sign of this team. There's talent in the squad. I mean, they're not the best team in the Big Ten, but to me, they're a team that should be knocking on the door for an NCAA tournament, and it hasn't happened, obviously. And so I think they've got to look at this as a huge game. I would lean Illinois at this point.
The Illinois bench outscored Ohio State 25-9.
Yeah.
In that spot.
And the big kid, whose name escapes me, I mean, he's a big dude. He's a 7-footer. He's been very good off the bench for Illinois.
Yeah. So this is I think this is an Illinois game to win because of the factors that we point out against the struggling Indiana squad that's lost a lot of confidence in these last 3 games.
Lost some good players from last year, too.
Yeah, they did.
Not the same team. All right. If you want to get free plays every day on a recorded message, well, again, it's very easy. Just call 888-478-9222.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jim Feist Sports. And feel free to send me a direct message with any questions about the Vegas wagering scene.
That's it. I send you direct messages. You never get back to me.
No, I don't answer yours.
I know.
I block you.
That's it. Thanks for joining us. So we will be, I think, back again next week with another edition of Proline.